Oh, today I feel strangely generous. So generous, in fact, I shall demonstrate a little something for you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Now, what might that be? Well, it would seem that some people misunderstand what exactly this awake researcher thingy-mabob is all about. It doesn't necessitate this exact pretender. Now, if only I could remember which nation might have it. You could technically get away with a pretender like this. It's not gonna be good, but in a Titan-only game, you could still do the thing. And it would be just fine. So then, what exactly is an awake researcher all about? If we were to break it down. Well, an awake researcher is all about rushing an early power spike spell. In this particular nation's instance, that would be luck and etherealness, which combine for a total of a 1 in 16 chance of actually dying when you are killed by normal infantry weapons that are not magical. That's quite strong, very strong, especially if your unit is already fairly strong. That's why it's a viable thing to start the game off with. You quickly build up the infrastructure necessary to crank out your troop of choice, maybe some alternative troops if you face some specific opposition, and the mages, this one, necessary for casting the spells on your little troops. What else is important to an awake researcher? Since we are rushing like crazy to establish as much infrastructure as possible, what is important is this number, the income, and of course our ability to crank out troops. That's also very important, because our early push relies on us having a shitload of troops and a shitload of mages, and all of that costs shitloads of money, shitloads of rec points maybe, and shitloads of resources. Thus we require as much as possible of those things. A fun fact is that if you prefer temperature 2 and you dump it over to 3, it's literally free money. Since we're rushing research, we kind of need as much research at the start of the game as possible. And to really crank it out, Magic 3 is a very nice thing. Now, what about the candles? How important candles are is sort of a hard question, because it could be that you have relevant sacreds that could potentially serve a purpose. Pardon me. In the example of Pythium here, these sacreds are utterly fucking worthless. However, your main mage can cast certain valuable spells that hurt very, very badly. And so, if you were to use the fact that you can put the exact same luck and ethereal 1 in 16 chance to die on these worthless troops, they can stand there and take it for a few turns before dying. And in those few turns, your clouds do magic. And to achieve this goal, you would need something that has sufficient holy points to crank out enough sacreds for it to be reasonable to do such things. And of course, you would also need a relevant resistance for what you are about to do, so that not only does your worthless troops stand there and just take it from the enemy troops, while hopefully not dying, but if your clouds also kill them, that will be very unfortunate, so we prevent that. And in doing so, we have unlocked the potential to artillery our enemies to death very early in the game. Because all we need to accomplish this is Alteration 4, maybe just luck, and Cheat Fate also works just fine on these completely worthless troops. So, best case Alteration 4, but Alteration 3 is also perfectly serviceable. And then we have Freezing Mist, which is Evocation 3. Both of these things can be acquired very early into the game. So then, candles, income, resources to crank out troops, luck is entirely irrelevant for us. The reason for that is because the most common nuisances that occur as a result of misfortune are usually things that get rolled by whatever it is that we are rushing. Not all nations can do this naturally, but the ones that can do it very well, usually. Another thing to note about candles is that... Excuse me. Taking too few candles can be very detrimental to your Dominion's game, as your Dominion gets eaten up by enemy Dominion, and you are in deep fucking shit if you don't have the priests to counteract that. On this particular nation, we have these guys in our capital. They are not expensive, they can be recruited very easily. This nation even has a 3 commander point fort, so you can very easily recruit these en masse. And these guys preach like hell. So taking a low dominion on this nation is not a problem at all. Because it's not difficult for you to keep your forts and maybe even lands. Although for lands I would advise you to use more expendable priests. Topped up in Dominion. Sorry, I haven't done this for a while. Now, another thing to note is that with all these requirements and restrictions, you may notice we don't have many points, and that's on purpose. You don't need a big rainbow blast or what have you for this sort of shit to work, no. If you invest so fucking heavily in paths, what you end up with is not having enough points to maximize your troop production, and that's utterly unacceptable for this kind of strategy, where we are utilizing a wave of troops to just fucking punch someone in the face very, very early, when they usually do not have much to respond to it with. It's a timing attack. And timing attacks usually rely on some tight build order. Luckily for you, technically this is fine, but if you really want to do it, then you could try and squeeze some things in there. Blah, blah. Where is it now? Forest Strolls, Nature 3. Alright, there you go. Past that, whatever. Let's grab a pip of water and one of it. Blood for shits and giggles. So we have a blessless nation with a few token paths that help out our nation. This nation in particular has fragile little human troops and mages that die very effectively to poison. So you may want to have something in your pocket that can help against that. Such as summoning things that are capable of casting this funny little spell. If you want to be real fancy, then you can also dress up some commanders in token gear that makes them more resilient to whatever the hell you're facing, and making sure to cover the paths that your nation cannot cover. In this case, that would be cold resistance, because this nation has fire and air. And so, if we were to face that kind of magical attacks, we could just use those mages instead to craft those resistance items. So then, don't take many paths, maximize troop production in the short term. If you want to be very cute, then you can, technically, go even higher on income. You could also go lower in the short term and instead spend that dough on getting more paths. To crank out more research, get some key items, whatever. Important thing is, we don't invest heavily into paths. That's dangerous. That compromises the timing attack, and that's what this is. Now, what about the build order? That varies for pretty much every nation. On this particular nation, you start off with our boy, the Sage. And naturally, you rocket down Alteration. And in this nation, you have these convenient fellas who research like crazy. And for taking provinces, you are basically shit out of luck. However, if you are fortunate, this might work. You could also try this. It might even be more worthwhile. Yeah. I'll just try that this time around. I don't expect results right away. It's not important that we expand super well, super early. As you will see, we could expand very well once we reach Alteration 3. So on the first turn we recruit our mighty researchers, and then we roll the turn. Boom. I tend to make my scout the prophet in these kind of scenarios, because my scout prophet allows me to go into a province and preach it up to a comfortable dominion level, which means that my very nice scales spread to that province faster, which means I get more income and crank out more troops more faster. This mighty, mighty force. I'm not sure I like the odds in any of these provinces. So what do? I move my scout to the most likely target province, and then I just preach it up. And when I say these guys research very well, I mean it. They research very, very well. Oof, a heavy breath. Now, let's do this one. Just to build up some extra troops and carry on our merry way. As you might see, we are hitting Alteration 3, where we get our first very, very good spell already within 2 turns. Now this is where the build order comes into play, because these guys research very well, yes, but these guys cast the buffs very well, and they are 50 gold cheaper. They research much worse than the other guys, but 50 gold is 50 gold. And so we slowly get 2 of them within the next 2 turns, because that means we have 2 mages with which we can cast buffs. And those 2 mages will allow us to do magical things. Ooh, magic. Yes, yes, very nice. And in anticipation of moving out with the boys, we shall make ponies now. And now we just pray to RNGesus that the boys and the gang can hold out against the barbarian scum. There you are. Alright then. Actually, that's a lot of barbarians. I'm not sure I'm confident in that. So I shall save it for another day. Crossbowmen. Militias. Yeah, I think I'll try this province instead. However, I shall still preach here because that's a very tasty province. Yes. So we're rocketing up Alteration like GME took to the skies. Recruiting our buffers now, since they are cheaper and allow us to invest more gold into forts and shit. And because they are much more expendable in combat than these guys. And we optimistically try to take a province. We are successful in taking a province. Very nice. Also, is this script worth a damn, or is it just retarded? Huh? It's actually alright. I didn't mind it. So then, this province is all preached up. Let's preach this one up. We can't really take any of these provinces, so we might as well just patrol this province. If it was a better province, or in fact, since this is our only resource province and it provides a lot of shit, it can be fully worthwhile to just spend the gold on 10 PD. This is done with shift and up arrow, in case you're wondering. Oh, and down. And so we recruit our second buffer and keep cranking out ponies. And since we have the opportunity, we recruit a spare commander, because those are also valuable when you're spamming buffs, as they allow you to do very nice things that you shall soon observe. Hopefully, anyway. That's cute and all, but I'm not sure that's very useful. Funny foreign recruits. Might as well get one. Or do I? Nah, I don't feel like it. Onwards. Towards the turn we hit Alteration 3. Tee. Ha ha ho. Now we have more resources in this province. We're gonna preach it up so that it gets even more resources. And our Dominion and 10 PD should handle the rest. Now, this province is difficult. This one is very unpleasant. This one, however, might just be possible. This nation is not super annoying about having buffers with no leadership, so you can actually buff blob with them, which is doing this and stacking them all up in one place. But that's not what we're interested in right here, right now. What we're interested in is taking this province. And so we shall. If I do this, they move forward after casting 2 spells, which might let them cast some more buffs on whoever the fuck is available. This is not so good if there's cavalry that just moves up into our troops, because then they are like, oh, attack command, okay, I'll move forward and get into a fist fight with whatever's here. Yeah, that's a good idea. Mages are very big-brained like that. They deserve everything they get when they die. So yes, I shall attempt to take this province now. Wish me luck. Oh, and by stacking up a third commander here, I guarantee that the first buff cast shall land on this square, because all of these guys are 2 per square, because there can be 6 size units in a square. And commander squares are also preferred over non-commander squares. Anyhow, for recruiting this turn, there are two choices. If you wish to expand harder, right now you could start recruiting more of these guys. If you are desperate for hitting research goals, then you can recruit another Master of Names and then another buffer. Since I am cheeky, I'm going to say that none of these provinces look tasty to me before I get ethereal. Therefore, I shall crank out research. And ponies, naturally. Ponies are the lifeblood of this timing attack. And this commander moves in to carry troops for the buffers in the future. Our sacrificial troops died an honorable death. We thank them for their service, but ultimately they were worthless, so who cares? God damn it, dude. Seems like they really fucking dropped the ball on buffing. Yeah. Aha! You cheeky bastards. You will pay for that. Oh, never mind. All my poop troops escaped. Nice. Now I don't have to worry about that anymore. And as you can see, Dominion and 10 PD have reduced the unrest of this province. Unfortunately, that's all that has happened. The preaching was unsuccessful. But what can you do? Now I'm facing a little dilemma, you could say. In that it's rather difficult to take this province. This one looks quite tasty though. And maybe, with some luck, I shall get... No. God damn it. Get this filth out of here. With some luck, I can demonstrate something to you. These guys are worthless and might even HP route us if we do this thing, so maybe I'll just drop off most of them. Let's use the non-wounded ones first. Interesting. Anyhow, with this setup, there we go. I can use these guys to annoy the archers first and foremost. Then I can receive wannabe attackers. With my little buff blob, and that should hopefully do it for this province. And one important thing here that I almost missed, but not quite, is this commander guy. What he has to do is stand there and take the buffs, and then he shall attack the pesky archers who are not moving forward with this entourage of buffed up troops. That should hopefully be good enough to take this province. And in the meantime, this guy's gonna stand there and wait for more buffy troops. And for the buffs to arrive, which is very soon, as you may notice. Not even sure what I would use after this, but whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we're taking this province on this turn, hopefully. Don't forget to PD your shit up. Right then. Big blob of ponies. Big blob of goodies. Yeah. Let us roll again. Yeah, you don't matter. Is this successful? Yes, it was. The distraction seems to have been successful. My little ponies got buffed up to shit. And then, it would seem, we proceeded to roll them. Yes, that's a funny thing that can easily happen. Your mages can miss buffs, and then they hit the enemies, and they get buffed instead. But yes, our ponies fucking rolled them. That's very nice. And this is a good province to start a fort in, so we shall. Unless there's a province that looks tasty and could potentially be taken right here and right now. The buffs will only arrive next turn, so what does that mean? It means that I could use this guy to build the fort next turn, or potentially recruit a scout here and move him in here. This guy can wait in this province, as that's a promising province to build a fort in. Who cares if it's adjacent to our capital? We're not making cap-only troops here. So the more forts, the merrier. How interesting. Got a bunch of spare troops in there. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Actually, you can build the fort. You can patrol a little bit. And you will search it for whatever the fuck you may find there. This guy no longer has to preach there, but he can go and preach here. Yes. That seems like the best course of action right now. We have enough ponies to send out a party next turn, and so we shall do. What a nice event to get right off the bat. Shame I don't care. I already started my fort. You can't hurt me. Continue fort construction. Now we have some fun. By slamming our heads into a province that should seem like it's extremely difficult to take, but honestly isn't. Something like that. I'll even copy those. And now our boy that has been waiting here for a while can finally go and take his province. I don't think that one can be taken yet. Or can it? I don't know. We could find out together. In fact, since I am generous, I might just go ahead and do that. This is a very difficult province because of the darkness penalty, which reduces the stat of our gracious pony boys and gives the cavemen a distinct advantage. However, do we care about that? Not really. I can't do that. He will fight before them if I do that. Unfortunate. Anyhow. These ones are rather predictable in what they are going to do. I don't even need that. I just need more casts. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Best you can do. Actually, I could be extremely cheeky here and send a third mage, because this is a hard province. This guy's position don't matter. And he can help us out a little. That should do. Erase the PD. Of course, crank out some ponies. And go to town. This guy can even pick up some more ponies. It's gonna be handy. Yes, that should do for this turn. Pardon the interruption. let us see how this works out. Might work, might not. Only one way to find out. By the way, this is turn 8, and we have Alteration 4. Mwah. Beautiful, is it not? I think so too. This battle seems to have gone well. The people in this square are rather unlikely to die when you do that. And then the buffs slowly trickle in. Luck Ethereal Heavy Cavalry, very nice. All of them. And so we slowly kill them to death. 1 HP. Let's see how many times he died. Wow. How lucky. This guy was very unfortunate. Kept just taking damage. But he didn't die, and that's the important part. And now, let's see how awfully it went in this province. Nice miss. Yes, about the darkness. Our ponies are not so mighty down here. And there's a lot of cavemen. Fortunately, they're not super stat units, so it's not like we're completely outgunned here. But hopefully the buffs hit those guys before it's too late. Okay. Not so good. We have a lack of buff coverage. It would be very nice if they didn't spam horror mark. This might be a recent change. I like how one of them missed and buffed the caveman. Anyhow, this was a horrendously bad fight to take. I'm not sure I can even describe to you just how awful this fight is. It's very easy to die against these fucking cavemen because they hit very hard. And now I'm just looking for people that have died a bunch. Yes. But despite this being a horrendous fight, we still won with fairly minimal losses. And that's what I mean by it's not important that we don't expand very much in the start, because we can expand very well right now. And that is exactly what we do in this situation. We just keep on moving forward. Taking out whatever the hell we may please in the process. Perfect. Yeah, whatever. big province, spooky province, whatever, dude. Let's just slam into it. I don't care. There. Fixed. This guy can search. It may look like we don't have things to do with these boys, but we do in fact have things to do. One, two, three, four. Get them all the way in the back, because they are, even if there were archers, we would prefer that it takes as long as possible for them to start shooting us. Ugh. But when we are maximally in the back, we can simply watch and observe as they come to us while we pepper our buffs onto us ourselves. Now, it's a good time to start sending out people to search for sites and shit. And we are straight at our recruitment points in our capital. Another spare commander. And this guy, whatever. You do your thing. I don't care. I don't mind. Yada yada blah blah blah. Unfortunate. Oh, I see what the problem here is. Hello there, mister. Looks like you did a big dummy dumb. Whatever. Just the minions things. It's a good demonstration of stacking your guys up for buff blobbing being rather important, so don't miss out on it. Because hopefully you're not doing a real-time recording for 48 minutes in a row while talking too much. And so you have the mental capacity to pay attention to such details. But as you can see, those barbarians were no threat to our boys. Oh, and actually, it's actually good that I fucked up once here, because this fight was lost due to this guy being over here, but this fight was won because the guy that was over here, he's not over there, he's over here. Yeah, that's not good. However, they are safe now. Funders who are safe. I wonder. Yeah, there we go. Luck and twist fate are excellent things against lances. Because you take damage, the lance breaks, but you don't die. You just don't fucking die. Ethereal. ethereal, and I guess one place where luck negated his death. So, very handy. Oh, and look at this brave chap. He's not afraid. He has 3 buffs on him. He just charges forward and kills a bunch of people. So that. You may have noticed I research Enchantment 3, Conjuration 3, and about to start cranking out Construction 3. That's because you can alchemize your native astral income into earth gems, give them to the alchemists who have Earth 1. They can then proceed to cast Summon Earth Power to become Earth 2 and spend some more gems casting very nice buffs that go very well on your ponies, so as to maximize the effectiveness of your troops. Now this guy can make a lab, and you can start cranking out dudes. To take your fucking provinces. At this particular point in time, I would actually prefer to minimize the amount of gold spent on troops, because what you need right now is this exact set of things: a fort and a lab, to crank out as many mages as humanly possible. I don't care to fix these guys. Fix these guys. Actually, I might as well try and suicide them into some province. It's gonna be pure kino. That'll be a funny thing to see what happens with that particular script. This guy can move over here, start preaching. I can spend some gold now to get income very soon. Good, good. Let's not immediately lose this province and see where we're going. Another successful province, another one, and another one. Oh, and the funny experiment here, yeah? If you script your mages to cast all the buffs, which I didn't, because nobody casted luck on the first turn, then what happens is that your mages are immediately fucking fully loaded out and have a 1 in 16 chance of dying to an arrow, which hopefully only comes after the first turn, because indie archers aren't immediately in range to fire at you. And not only do they have 1 in 16 chance of dying, but if they do die, then they'll have to die again. Which is very handy for not bleeding mages to such accidents. And by the way, if you send a guy with bodyguards to retreat, then once he leaves the map, his bodyguards charge forward like a bunch of madmen. And then your fully buffed up bodyguards proceed to slaughter everything. That's another way to do it. However, the reason it's annoying to do this is because he retreats someplace. And this someplace may not be a place you want him to be. And in this instance, we start building a fort here. Because we need more forts very quickly. I'm actually surprised these guys made it. But whatever. As you can see, buff blobbing is pretty strong for expanding. Because indies have the big stupid. And this is what I mean by having these spare commanders being very important to have. Because instead of these guys just fucking standing there and shooting me all day, he goes out and kills them. Tells them to get the fuck off his property, and so they do. Hopefully this cleared up a little bit about le avec researcher. And if we're having fucking Dominion problems, we can crank out a few of these. They can preach up our forts. And now we can start cranking out troops like crazy. Very handy. Make an alchemist. Whatever the fuck your heart desires. Have a good one. Bye bye.